An 80-year-old lady is sitting at the bar at Harpoon Harry's waiting for her husband. Suddenly, a very handsome man walks in and takes a seat a few stools away. He's so good-looking that she can't take her eyes off him. After a while, the man notices her staring and decides to approach her. Before she can apologize, he looks deeply into her eyes and says in a sultry tone, "I'll do anything you want. Anything you can imagine in your wildest dreams. It doesn't matter how extreme or unusual. I'll do it, all for $100 cash. But there's one condition." Completely caught off guard, the lady asks, "What's the condition?" The man smirks and replies, "You have to tell me what you want me to do in just 3 words. The lady thinks for a moment, then reaches into her handbag, pulls out $100, and hands it to him. She smiles, looks him right in the eye, and clearly says, "Paint my house." The man stands there stunned as she casually sips her drink. A priest was being celebrated at a special dinner for his 25th anniversary serving the parish. The guest of honor was a well-loved local politician who was also scheduled to give a heartfelt speech. Unfortunately, traffic had other plans, so the priest decided to step up to the mic and share a few words himself while everyone waited. He began, "You all know I can't break the seal of confession, but I can share how I felt when I first arrived here 25 years ago. My very first confession gave me, well, quite the impression. The man told me he had stolen a TV, nearly assaulted a police officer, stolen money from his parents, embezzled from work, had an affair with his boss's wife, used illegal drugs, and given a venereal disease to his cousin. I was shaken. I thought I had landed in Sodom and Gomorrah, but thankfully I soon learned that most of you are loving, decent, wonderful people, and I have truly been blessed to be part of this parish." Just then, the politician finally arrived, still a little flustered from traffic, grabbed the mic and said, "I'll never forget the first day our dear priest arrived at the parish. I was the very first person to go to confession with him." A blonde walks into an appliance store and spots a TV she wants to buy. She heads to the counter and says, "I want to buy that TV." The salesman looks at her and says, "I'm sorry, ma'am, we don't sell to blondes." Confused, the blonde walks out and dyes her hair brown. She returns to the store and says, "I want to buy that TV." The salesman looks at her again and says, "Ma'am, I've told you before, we don't sell to blondes." She walks out again and dyes her hair black. She returns and says, "I want to buy that TV." The salesman gives her a tired look and says, "I've told you, we don't sell to blondes." Determined, she dyes her hair red and walks back into the store. She says, "I want to buy that TV." The salesman sighs and says, "Ma'am, I've told you 4 times now, we don't sell to blondes." The blonde, frustrated, asks, "How do you know I'm a blonde?" The salesman looks at her and says, "Because, ma'am, that's a microwave." One day, Mrs. Jones went to talk to the minister at the local church. "Reverend," she said, "I have a problem. My husband keeps falling asleep during your sermons. It's very embarrassing. What should I do?" The minister thought for a moment and said, "I have an idea. Take this hat pin with you. I'll watch for when Mr. Jones is dozing off, and I'll motion to you. When I do, you give him a little poke in the leg." The following Sunday, Mrs. Jones brought the hat pin to church. Sure enough, during the sermon, Mr. Jones started to nod off. The minister noticed and said, "And who made the ultimate sacrifice for you?" He nodded toward Mrs. Jones. "Jesus!" Mr. Jones cried, waking up as his wife poked him with the hat pin. "Yes, you're right, Mr. Jones," said the minister. But soon after, Mr. Jones dozed off again. The minister asked, "Who is your Redeemer?" and motioned toward Mrs. Jones. "God!" Mr. Jones yelled out, again getting poked in the leg. "Right again," said the minister. But before long, Mr. Jones fell asleep again. This time, the minister didn't notice, and he picked up the pace of his sermon, making some gestures that Mrs. Jones mistook for signals to poke her husband. The minister asked, "What did Eve say to Adam after she bore him his 99th son?" Mrs. Jones poked Mr. Jones again, and he woke up shouting, "If you poke me with that thing one more time, I'll snap it in half and make you regret it." "Amen," the congregation replied in unison. Two statues were standing in the park, one a naked man and one of a naked woman. They had been facing each other across a pathway for 100 years. One day, an angel comes down from the sky and with a single gesture brings the two to life. The angel tells them, as a reward for being so patient through 100 blazing summers and dismal winters, you have been given life for 30 minutes to do what you've wished to do the most. He looks at her. She looks at him. They go running behind the shrubbery. The angel waits patiently as the bushes rustle and giggling ensues. After 15 minutes, the two return out of breath and laughing. The angel looks at his watch. You have 15 minutes left. Would you care to do it again? He asks her. Shall we? She eagerly replies, Oh, yes, let's. But we should change positions. This time, I'll hold the pigeon down and you shit on its head. Young girl comes home from being over at the neighbor's and asks her mom what it is called when two people are sleeping on top of each other in the bedroom. Mom just comes right out and tells her it's called intercourse and that is how babies are made. The girl runs back to the neighbor's. A little while later, the girl comes home and says, Mom, you were wrong. They're called bunk beds and Mrs. Titter wants to see you. On a royal morning, King Fancy Britches decided he needed a break from the stress of running a kingdom. So naturally, he grabbed his favorite fishing rod and told the queen, Darling, we're going fishing. Before heading out, he called in Sir Forecast-a-Lot, the royal weather wizard. Well, meteorologist, but wizard sounds cooler. Tell me, O Sky Whisperer, the king asked, will it rain today? Sir Forecast-a-Lot, after checking his scrolls and licking a finger in the wind, proudly declared, Nay, your majesty, not a single drop shall fall from the heavens for days. Confident, the king and queen hopped into their royal carriage and trotted off. But halfway to Lake Fancyfish, they passed old Farmer Ned riding a donkey named Kevin. Farmer Ned raised an eyebrow and said, Your Majesty, if I were you, I'd turn that fancy ride around. Kevin's ears are drooping. That means rain. Big rain. Biblical rain. The king, amused but polite, replied, Thank you, peasant, but I trust my highly paid, university-certified, top-tier weatherman. Droopy donkey ears? Please, that's not science. And off they went, 15 minutes later. Boom! The sky opened up like a drama queen with trust issues. Rain fell so hard the queen's wig tried to swim away. The royal robes turned into wet blankets, and even the royal ducks were like, Yo, this is too much. The king and queen returned to the palace looking like soggy towels from a medieval car wash. The royal entourage tried not to laugh. They failed. Enraged, King Fancy Britches fired Sir Forecast-a-Lot on the spot. You're out, soaked and sacked. Then he summoned Farmer Ned and offered him the prestigious new role of royal weather guru. But Farmer Ned shook his head and said, Your Majesty, I'm not a weatherman. I just look at Kevin. If his ears droop, it's gonna rain. That donkey's never wrong. The king, being a man of action and now mildew, hired Kevin the donkey immediately. And that, dear reader, is how the tradition of hiring asses into positions of power officially began and continues to this very day. A husband and wife are strolling down the high street when the wife stops dead in her tracks, eyes glued to a stunning diamond necklace sparkling in a jewelry store window. Go inside with me, she pleads, tugging his arm. I just want to look. They head in. She tries it on, spins around dramatically, clearly head over heels. The husband sighs. He can't afford it right now. But one day, he says, that necklace will be yours. Fast forward a month. The wife's home, pacing like a detective with a hunch. It's late. No husband. She grabs her phone and dials with fury. Where the hell are you? She snaps. His voice comes through, calm and smooth. Baby, remember that jewelry store where you saw the diamond necklace and absolutely fell in love with it? Her face softens instantly. Of course I do, she says, heart fluttering. And you said it would be mine someday. Exactly, he says. Well, I'm in the bar right next to that shop. My wife and I went into town to do a little shopping. When we came back out, we saw a police officer writing a parking ticket on a car near the store. I walked up and said, Come on, officer, how about giving a couple of senior citizens a break? He completely ignored me and kept writing, so I said, "You butthead." That got his attention. He looked up, glared at me, and started writing another ticket for worn-out tires. My wife joined in, calling him a jerk. He added another ticket. This little dance went on for 20 minutes. The more we insulted him, the more tickets he wrote. By the end, he looked like he was trying to break some kind of record. He finally slapped a whole stack of tickets on the windshield, gave us one last dirty look, and stormed off. Just then, our bus pulled up. Yep, not our car, not our problem. We got on the bus and went home laughing. A woman walked into a pet shop and immediately noticed a large, beautiful parrot with a price tag of just $50. "Why so cheap?" she asked. The shop owner hesitated. "I've got to be honest with you. This parrot used to live in a brothel. It might say some inappropriate things." The woman thought for a moment, then shrugged. "I've heard worse. I'll take him." She brought the bird home, hung the cage in the living room, and waited. The parrot looked around its new surroundings, then at the woman, and said, "New house, new madam." A little shocked, she laughed it off. Later that afternoon, her 2 teenage daughters came home from school. The parrot observed them and said, "New house, new madam, new girls." The daughters burst out laughing, though slightly embarrassed. But then the husband walked in from work. The parrot tilted its head, gave him a long look, and said, "New house, new madam, new girls, old clients." Grandpa and Grandma were sitting at the kitchen table one quiet afternoon, sipping coffee like they'd done for decades. Out of nowhere, Grandma stood up, rolled up her newspaper, and whacked Grandpa right across the head. He nearly spilled his coffee. "What the heck was that for?" he asked, rubbing his ear. Grandma replied calmly, "That's for 40 years of disappointing bedroom adventures." Grandpa sat there stunned for a moment, then slowly rolled up his own newspaper, walked over to Grandma, and gave her a firm bop on the head. She stared at him, eyes wide. "And what was that for?" He shrugged and said, "That's for knowing the difference."